Welcome back to The Price of Business. This is Chris Kelso, rocking the Kasbah. Let me tell you right there. Our next guest is Tim Oneil. He is a guest host of mine, also on the Real Estate Rat Pack radio show, but more importantly, a great individual with State Farm Insurance. Tim, how you doing this morning?
Oh, come right along, Big Daddy. How are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you. You know, subject matter I want to talk about today, which is something that's near and dear to your heart, is disability insurance and the impact that has on people, or they don't realize it can have on them if they get caught in a situation in which all of a sudden their income drops down, especially for individuals who are a lot of times listening to the show, who are small businesses or self-employed individuals, or individuals out there who are starting their own business. You know, that's something that's near and dear to your heart also.
It's a big deal. You bet. Anybody who's either a 1099 commission-based person or contractor who's working directly and literally get paid per job and don't necessarily have built-in income streams. The paradox really is that people will, with your ability to get up out of bed every morning, put your feet on the floor, and go to work is your number one asset.
Right.
For all of us. And people will, with the fruits of their labor, they'll go and they'll buy cars and insure them, and they'll buy boats and insure them, and motorcycles, and all of the toys and all of the things that your hard work can get for you. The very first thing they want to do is get insurance on it.
Right.
But they're overlooking insuring the one thing that makes that all possible, which is their ability to get up out of bed and go to work. And people don't, they just simply don't think of that. They'll even think of life insurance first. And people will tend to insure life just because it's more traditional and there's just a better awareness about it. But think about it. If you pass, your problems are over. Your family may have problems, but your problems are done.
Right.
But being disabled, and literally there you are, your bills are continuing, and your income has stopped, and there you are. It's worse from your perspective.
Well, and we're seeing a lot of, you and I work within the real estate community, and we're seeing a lot of individuals out there. You mentioned 1099 or self-employed or however individuals being paid right there. And individuals, things happen, things come up in regards to sickness, or they get into a major wreck, or something goes on in which they have to take care of somebody. And unfortunately, they don't, as you mentioned, they don't cover themselves. Our cars, if we get into an accident, are covered. Our homes, if it gets burned down, are covered. But if we can't put our feet to the ground and get back out there and make ends meet like we do every day, if you don't take disability insurance, you're not covered if something was to happen. And let me tell you, there is more stress, financial stress in that area than you could possibly imagine. If you can't take care of, financially speaking, your obligations, most of the time you can't take care of yourself in that situation which you get into.
You can't, and as you know very well, being one of the top mortgage lenders in the world, something like that happens, and now you can't pay your bills, and now your credit takes a dive because you had this period of 3 or 4 months where you couldn't make ends meet. Well, there's no getting over that. Your credit is wrecked for how long? Years.
Right.
It's awful, and it's avoidable. But a lot of our listeners, people who are in service industries or sales industries, it's even more frustrating for me as an advocate for this product because the rates are very, very favorable for people who, work with paper and, do deals and transactions and sell, because that's really not all that hazardous. If you're a roofer, then your disability policy is pretty darn expensive, but you're subjected to quite a lot of risk.
Right, absolutely.
But the thing that people like us, paper pushers and deal makers, what we overlook is the number of miles we drive every single year. I'm pushing 30,000 miles a year in my car.
Wow.
And plenty of people are doing 20,000 miles a year. And how much traffic are you in on a daily basis? And how many of those people that you're driving with are texting while driving? And how many of them are in a rush and under stress? And you see the way they drive, and you see it all over the time. So you just never know. When you're going up, leave the house for work one day, is this the day that one of these people is going to cause an accident and you're going to be in it? And now, there you are, or a number of other things, that just are just out there. And it's a very easy product to qualify for as far as underwriting, and it's not very, very expensive at all. Certainly as a percentage basis, and certainly not when you consider that it's literally the foundation that you're building your entire business and family and life on, is your ability to be a productive income earner. So I can't imagine how people are so
lax
yeah. about ensuring that their single most important asset. And I just couldn't be more passionate about it. It's something I'm really glad to have the opportunity to talk about.
No, and you say about texting and driving. I mean, taking me out of the equation. Trust me, you want to do that. There's millions of people out there that actually, as you're mentioning, you're out there driving. If you're an individual who's on the road, who's driving all the time, we think about, hey, guess what? My insurance is going to cover this. Your insurance is not going to cover if you get into a massive wreck, have to go to the hospital for months on end, and can't work your same job or work that job over a period of time, which you were looking for. So disability.
If it's your fault, but, that happens all the time too. But suppose the accident's your fault and there's no one to sue. There's no one policy to collect under.
Yep, that's
now
true.
Now you've got, even more problems. Suppose it's you who's texting and driving, not you personally, but, suppose one of our listeners is the one, and, you never know when there's an accident. You never know how the adjusters or how the police report's going to work out. You don't know if that's going to be your fault, their fault. People always think it's the other person's fault, but it doesn't always get decided that way. So it's, what we look at is, I'll say to a potential customer, listen, how much is your mortgage and your car payments? Why don't we set up a disability income policy with a 30-day, after 30 days, this policy kicks in and it'll start to pay your mortgage and your car payments. So you're not going to get behind on those two great big ones.
Right.
And then maybe they've got a little savings that they can do, or maybe they're only partially disabled where they can still be bringing in some money but not as much. But this way we've got the house note and the car notes, all of the things that can wreck your credit fast. We'll want to have those covered. And then, if it's going to be a long-term disability, you can set up a second income stream with maybe a 90-day wait or even a 6-month wait. And you can structure these things just right. And there's not a great, you don't have to replace all of your income. We look at it in a targeted way. And because eventually, if someone truly is long-term disabled, there is Social Security disability. And people get their, I urge people, 2 months before your birthday month, Social Security sends you your statement. And it shows you on there how much you qualify for if you become totally disabled.
Oh, absolutely.
It takes a long time to get Social Security disability, and in the meanwhile, you can have a severe income gap, and even when you then do get Social Security disability, it doesn't replace all of your income, and you're allowed to have a separate disability policy of your own that can go and work in concert with Social Security disability benefits that you might ultimately receive.
Well, Tim, we are coming up against a break. How can we reach you if you don't mind?
Hey, best way to reach me is to listen to our show Saturday morning on the Real Estate Rat Pack Show and call in. But failing that, I'm very easy to reach at 281-358-4444. Tim Oneil, State Farm, 281-358-4444.
That is Tim Oneil with State Farm. Great individual, also my co-host on the Real Estate Rat Pack radio show. You are tuned in right now to The Price of Business. I'm Chris Kelso. We have to take a break, but we'll be right back.